This is the iPhone 6s Plus, and we're now in 2018, and this phone is in its third year, but is it still worth it? Let's find out if you should buy the 6s Plus in 2018, coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And quick specs refresh first to get this started off. 5.5-inch Retina Full HD display, Apple A9 CPU with 2 GB of RAM. Battery is 2750 milliamp hours, 12 megapixel iSight camera with 4K at 30 FPS. This also has iOS 11. So taking a look at the hardware in 2018, we do have that camera up at the top with a little bit of a bump. On the right side, we do have a power button as well as our SIM card tray. Now, the 6s Plus hardware is definitely looking a little bit older and a little bit more stale. It's got that 16:9 look. A lot of Chinese phones look like this phone as well, and you got to decide if you really still dig this design. To me, it's still a pretty industrial, nice looking design. I do like the Touch ID. We don't have speakers up in the top earpiece though like we do on our newer iPhone, so you might want to keep that in mind. But that silent switch is still sturdy. The power button and volume buttons are still very nice and sturdy, so everything here still feels very premium, even though this phone is, you know, getting a little bit old now. Now, in terms of that display, you're looking at a 5.5-inch Retina Full HD display, and I would typically say this is not great because we do have 2K now. However, with OnePlus releasing 1080p displays still here in 2018 on their 5T, this makes me feel like the 6s Plus still has a pretty solid display, same resolution as any other 1080p phone. It's still not the highest end. There's 4K panels on Sony smartphones. They're pretty much the only ones, but at the end of the day, this text is going to be sharp enough. The colors are still very well balanced. It's a little bit cooler than the newer iPhones, which air a little bit warmer. You don't get true tone here, but the display to me is still a win for the price you might pay for an iPhone 6s Plus. Now, on board in terms of the software is iOS 11.2.1. We do have an impending update to iOS 11.2.5 coming soon. Overall, unfortunately, I have to report that the 6s Plus has been one of the glitchier software experiences on this iOS 11 edition. It's pretty disappointing because the iPhone 6s Plus was one of those flagship devices of 2015 that ran you around $800-900, and you know, it's not even in a full third year. This is 2 years and like a month or so. So the iPhone 6s Plus definitely, when it does perform well, has some very solid performance. Camera is plenty fast, but on the whole, iOS 11 has really not made this phone much better. And if you're on iOS 10, I would just stay there for right now to see what happens with the future of performance with the 6s Plus, specifically after the 11.2.5 update. Maybe the 11.3 update will bring some nice solid improvements to this device, but with the Apple A9 and 2 gigs of RAM, it still will get the job done day to day. You're just gonna have some headaches and annoyances here and there. Now, battery life, I cannot report to be great for this device. Now, when it first came out, it was very strong, but I unfortunately got an issue where this phone will just drop 20% out of nowhere, and this probably has affected the same issue that we're talking about when it comes to the battery problems. Apple's issuing the $29 battery. I think my phone is affected here, so you might have a different experience on your 6s Plus, but battery, I cannot report personally is great, just being honest. Now, in terms of size, looking at it towards an iPhone 8, you are seeing that it's a much larger phone. Fortunately, you do have reachability, which does help you reach the applications. However, it's so wide, and with all these 18:9 displays this year, this is just really a big smartphone to grasp here this year, considering that all other phones are getting more narrow and easier to hold with even larger screens than the 6s Plus. Now, the camera on the other hand, 12 megapixel iSight 4K video recording. I didn't like the fact that it had a huge bump on the back. However, it was pretty sturdy. It didn't scratch up no matter how much I pretty much slammed it on a table. Now, software is typical iPhone, you know, software when it comes to the camera. You do have your panel, your photo, your video, your slow-mo. Your slow-mo will only go up to 120 frames per second. Photos, though, I've always loved on the 6s Plus. They're fantastic. I mean, they're very natural, very nice color palette. They look very warm and just realistic looking. So I always really like the photo quality on this phone. Video quality is also pretty superb, and I do like the fact that you can go ahead and take pictures with the camera button over here on the volume button. So that's pretty nice to see. I always mention this because it's a pretty cool feature for the iPhone. Let me go ahead and show you some video samples now. Here you're taking a look at the iPhone 6s Plus's front-facing camera, audio coming directly from the phone itself. It still holds up pretty well, even here in 2018. A little bit cold out here, but yeah, this is the quality. Okay, so here is some 4K 30 coming directly from the 6s Plus itself. Now, this is downscaled to 1080p for this video, but you can see it's not bad overall. And actually, I would still use this phone for YouTube videos to this day. There's the dog right there. Not bad quality at all for this 4K video recording. Let me know your thoughts down below. So in terms of the phone call quality with the iPhone 6s Plus, it's actually been pretty good for me, and I think it's a good experience. The speakerphone itself is loud enough. Again, it's not going to be dual-facing speakers of the newer iPhones, and it's easier to cover up from time to time, but overall, it's loud enough. Gamers, rejoice. This phone is very fast, never had a single issue when it comes to gaming. No matter what game I threw at it, this phone could handle the gaming. It was one of the first iPhones that I had that was really powerful in this department, in the gaming department. So I really like this, and the bezels do help you hold on to the device when you are doing some gaming for this product. Now, in terms of the price point, if you do find a second hand, here is where this starts to become a pretty good value. I mean, all this phone you're getting here for around 300 bucks. It's a pretty good phone for all that money right there. However, you could get a Google Pixel XL, the original version, which is very similar in size and looks to this phone. It might be a little bit faster. However, buying it at Apple is going to set you back too much, and I would not recommend you get it there. However, that is the iPhone 6s Plus. Should you buy it here in 2018? Well, I think it is okay if you could find a good deal. Battery life's not the best, but it's okay if you could find it on a great deal. If you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up for me, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Nick here helping you to master your technology, and peace.